okay, where the retail outlet is basically working 24/7. That is no week off. And that's where we need different employees to be employed, taking care of the 7 days in a week. And how do we uh, prepare a schedule for them, okay, or come up with the standard operating procedures with respect to building a schedule for them, so as to see to it that all the people who are working, they get their weekly offs, they're happy, satisfied, and they continue with their work. So basically, after the kitchen order ticket system, that's where we look into employee scheduling in a retail mall. Yes, so probably in retail outlets or in a say in a mall, as we have discussed, there is no weekend as such, and wherein the owner would be needing the people to take care of the business 7 days a week. Okay, so many retail and service businesses, they have found it necessary to stay open longer than 8 hours a day. So now the scenario has changed. It is longer than 8 hours a day and more than 5 days a week. Examples of retailers include the apparel industry, the sporting goods, the building supplies, household items, jewelers, stationers, and a variety of stores. So examples of service business include the dry cleaners, the pharmacies, auto repairs, dentists, optometrists, and barber or hair salons, right? Now, let us look into the reasons for expanding the hours of operation in retail outlets or with respect to a retail mall. Now, first is competition. Once a competitor changes its hour of operation, the other local companies in the same line of business, they are pressured to do the same. Why? Because otherwise they'll be losing on their customers just because they are not available for those few hours during which they prefer to stay closed previously. Then customers. Longer hours expose a business to more prospects, which can increase the sales. It also makes it convenient for existing customer, which means more repeated business. Repeated business means why? The customer arriving again and again to you for purchasing the goods. And then the facilities. When the space or equipment is fully utilized, it's cheaper to increase the hours of operation than it is to rent a larger office or a shop or to purchase more or larger machinery, right? So with this, reasons for expanding the hours of operation, now let us look into the factors that the business owners need to consider when creating the work schedule for the employees. Since we are into scheduling. Yes. So there are three factors that the business owner should consider. First is the coverage factor. That is, what is the most effective way to match the number of people at work with the workload variations. Second is the cost. What is the most efficient way to staff and schedule the employees with minimum possible costs? And third is satisfaction. Which approach will the employees prefer? Okay, when we are considering the different alternatives while choosing for the working of employees, the manner in which the work of the employees should be scheduled so that they remain satisfied and they continue to work. So now let us discuss these factors one by one. First is coverage. Now, once a company selects its new hours of operation, it should estimate the workload by hours of the day and by days of the week. The best way to do this is to gather historical data using the measures such as number of jobs or appointments, number of inbound phone calls, number of customer visits, number of outbound service calls, etc. Since some calls or visits require more time and efforts than others, it might be necessary to classify them into 2 or 3 categories. So each category then can be weighed differently to adjust for the time required by the employees to handle them. A table of the weighted data can help in selection of the shift lengths and coverage on each shift. Shift lengths meaning thereby should the shift be of 8-hour shift or 10-hour shift or 9-hour shift and so on. So this is with respect to coverage. Again, within the coverage, we are having 2 options or 2 variations. First is the hourly variations. So with this type of fluctuation, the volume of work changes by time of day. Say for example, the evenings are often busier than the rest of the day in many retail stores. So the 3 typical ways to address these hourly workload variations are staggered start times, part-time employees that work shifts shorter than 8 hours, and multiple shifts that overlap one another. So since there are so many different situations, let us consider the different situations one by one. Okay. So with this, let us go into the example of hourly variation. An independent auto repair shop is open from say 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. It opens early because the owner wants to avoid the commuter traffic. Most customers don't drop off their cars until 8 or 9 a.m. So this owner, auto repair shop owner, he starts with one mechanic at 8 a.m. and another mechanic coming at 9 a.m. So the first mechanic, he leaves at 4:30 p.m. and the second mechanic, he leaves at 5:30 p.m. The owner stays until 6 p.m. to accommodate the customers picking up their vehicles after work. The owner, he stays until 6 p.m. to accommodate the customers picking up their vehicles because their vehicles are, whatever was the problem that has been solved, they are being serviced and they are ready to be picked up. Now, the staggered work hours, they not only extend the coverage to 11 hours a day, but they also match the coverage with the workload. So this is with respect to the staggered start times, that is the first option that we discussed over here. Now the second option is part-time employees that work shifts shorter than 8 hours. Okay, so now let us consider another example over here. Say for example, a store that sells bicycles is open from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Now they are the busiest from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. In order to match the coverage with this workload distribution, they have 10-hour shift that is stacked by full-time employees plus a 3-hour shift that is from 4 to 7, which is staffed by part-time employees, that is mostly the students. Yes, so that's where the part-time employees that work shifts shorter than 8 hours. So only during the peak period of 4 to 7 p.m., the students are working. They are the part-time employees. So that's where there is no need to have more full-time employees. Along with full-time employees, there is an addition of part-time employees that are working for just 3 hours, that is during the peak period. Then the third option is multiple shifts that overlap one another. Say a beauty salon is open from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. The busiest time of the day is in the afternoon, that is from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. So they match this workload distribution by using two 8-hour shifts. So the first shift will start at 9, that is from 9 to 5, and the next shift will be starting from 1 to 9, right? So the shifts overlap from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. and this overlap is a little longer than necessary, but then it allows the company to only use full-time employees who want to work for 8-hour shift. So that's in between during the peak period, that's in the afternoon. Automatically, the two shifts are overlapping on each other, and that's why where you have extra employees to take care of the customers. So this is with respect to the coverage of hourly variations. For staggered start time, this is the example. Then we look into, after hourly variations, we will be looking into the daily variations. Now with this type of fluctuation, the volume of work changes throughout the week. For example, many businesses that deal with public, they are busier on weekends than they are on weekdays when people are at work. So the two typical ways to address the daily work variations are the weekend crews and custom designed work patterns. Yes. So as with the hourly variations, there are too many possibilities to cover them all. So let us look into one of the examples of this approach, that is coverage with daily variations. Previously, it was hourly variations and now this is daily variations. So let us look into this example. A stationery store is open every day of the week. The workload is fairly light on weekdays and busier or busiest on the weekends. The owner works by himself from Monday to Friday, and then he employs several part-time people to work the weekend shifts. It's easier for him to find people to work weekend shifts on weekends, since this is usually a second job for him. So plus it gives him the weekends off. The downside of the course is that the manager is unavailable to supervise the part-time employees. So he or she is also unavailable when the store is the busiest. So that's where we look into the weekend crews. And then another example, to take care of the custom designed work patterns. So for this, that is the second one over here, custom design work patterns. Let us look into one more example. Say a pharmacy is open every day of the week. Now they track the volume of prescriptions that are filled by the day of the week. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, say for example, have almost 50% more subscriptions than any other days of the week. Weekends are the lightest, where Monday and Tuesday they are on an average, right? So the pharmacy will employ now 3 full-time pharmacists. All 3 pharmacists work the 3 busy days. Only one pharmacist works on Saturday and Sunday. 2 pharmacists, they work on Monday and Tuesday. So that's how the weekly offs between the pharmacists are being managed. Yes. Yes. So after looking into, like we had considered initially that the factors for work schedule consideration are coverage, where we considered the coverage on daily basis and on hourly basis, right? Sorry, with daily variations and with hourly variations. And then we look into the next part, that is the cost. Yes. Again, I'm having an example for how the cost is calculated and how we arrived at the cheapest option. Now, small business owners are especially concerned with keeping costs at the minimum. So that's why it is important to compare the cost of different staffing or scheduling approaches before picking one of them. So let us look into the example. So that's where it will give us the necessary explanation which option has to be chosen. Now this example is of a retail store that is open from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. that is Monday to Sunday. Now using data on the number of customer visits by hour of the day over the past year, the manager established the following coverage requirements. From Monday to Sunday, that's 1000 to 1500. Okay, 2 people per hour drop in, and from Monday to Sunday, 1500 to 1800, 3 people per hour. So the first approach is, this approach emphasizes the use of full-time employees that are supplemented by part-timers. So now there are 3 full-time employees that provide 2-person coverage throughout the week using 8-hour shifts, right? 2-person coverage. And there are 3 part-time employees that are used to boost the coverage from 3 to 6 p.m. Okay, when they are at the peakest. So now let us look into the total cost of employing them. 3 full-time employees, 40 hours per week into 12 hours, $12 per hour wages into 1.4 is cost of benefits that works to $2,520 per week. And part-time employees, 21 hours a week on an average, they are working. They are paid at $10 per hour wages, and that calculates to $210 per week. Now note that it doesn't matter how many part-time employees are being used. It's the total hours of the part-time employees that are taken into consideration. So combining 2520 and 210, we are having 2,730 per week that we are spending on the employees. Okay. Second approach is, it emphasizes the use of part-time employees with 2 full-time employees who will supervise the part-timers. So the number of full-time employees has been reduced down by 1, wherein we increase the part-time employees. Now 2 supervisors into 40 hours per week. Since they are supervisors only, they are working for 15 hour per hour wages, $15 per hour, and into 1.5 cost benefits. That works around to 1800. And then the part-time employees, it's 53 hours because the number of part-time employees or the part-time employee hours have increased per week with $10 per hour wages. That comes to 530 per week. So now the total cost is 1800 plus 530, that is 2330 per week. Now based on cost alone, we can see that approach second, that is supervisors plus more part-time workers, that works out to be the best, taking into consideration the costs involved. Now here the owner has to balance the cost savings with the time manager will spend hiring and training the constant turnover of part-time employees. Although using part-time employees often is a least expensive approach, the other consideration may override this. That is, having a more of turnover and thereby spending time on training of the part-time employees. So this is with respect to the cost. And then we look into the third factor, that is the employee satisfaction. Although employee satisfaction is also important when you are employing someone to work with you, it should never be the starting point in search of a new schedule. So one can't count the number of times one have been contacted by the managers who selected the hours of operation to justify the shift length that he or she might have thought the employees would prefer to have an 8-hour shift. Okay. And then later on, the employers, they forget that the longer shifts will either increase the staffing requirement or reduce the available coverage. So that has to be taken care of with employee satisfaction. Now with this, we move on to, so what are the factors that are required to be considered uh, during the scheduling of the employees in retail business? That's what we have looked into. Yes, the three factors, that is coverage, cost, and satisfaction. Further, we also looked into the reasons why the number of hours are more than 8 hours per day with respect to the retail outlets, retail business, or a retail mall, whichever one you take. Now with this, we look into 5 retail scheduling best practices. Remember, you are required to prepare a standard operating procedure. It could be a retail business, it could be a mall, any retail outlet that you might consider that is open for more than 8 hours per day. So, what you should be looking into as best practices for better compliance, for better sales, and much more. So, now the retailing scheduling best practices, they will reduce the turnover, the employee turnover. They will improve the compliance and even result in increase in sales. Now, arriving at the most effective retail scheduling strategy isn't that easy. One has to do it well, and thereby you will be engaging your associates, wherein you will be reducing the turnover, cutting down on costs, and building of customer loyalty. But poor execution will also lead to loss of revenue, disgruntled employees, and inadequate customer service in many ways. So, with the right processes, workplace culture, and retail shift scheduling software probably that are available nowadays, it is possible for one in retail business to avoid employee scheduling conflicts and build the most accurate schedule possible. Customer loyalty arises as employee morale and productivity improves. So, if you consider yourself as a manager or a business owner in the retail industry, here are the 5 retail scheduling best practices. First is build predictable schedules. Inconsistent schedules are a major complaint among the retail workers. More stability with respect to schedules helps the employees balance the rest of their lives and responsibilities while still getting enough hours to work. A Harvard business study revealed that a stable employee scheduling in retail actually builds the productivity and profits, because more stable the employee, more he is aware of the business as well as the moods and the swings of the customers, and the better he is able to handle them. Researchers have discovered that sales in the stores with more stable scheduling, it increased by 7% and labor productivity increased by 5%. So managers should consider the needs of their staff when building a schedule. It seems obvious, but can be easier said than done, especially when managers get a handful of time off requests. So every now and then, n number of requests are being placed in front of the manager for time off. Okay, then it becomes really difficult. So while the retail industry can be unpredictable, store managers, they should avoid scheduling retail workers on short notice. Employees need time to plan for everyday needs like transportation and childcare. Also avoid scheduling employees for cloaknings, where an employee closes the night shift and opens the next following morning. So, too often, employees are forced to get by on just a few hours of sleep between the shifts. So, avoid such type of employee scheduling when you are working in shifts. Then the Economic Policy Institute notes that irregular work hours, such as cloakings, they lead to longer work hours. Policies that reduce or eliminate the cloakings and other unstable work schedules will lead to more productive workforce while helping to avoid unnecessary overtime. Again, perennial work-life imbalance is proven as detriment to stress as well as to health. And in retail industry, constant juggling of employee scheduling to maintain the profits and to keep labor costs to the minimum isn't is really necessary. So when employers establish the predictability in work schedules, it helps to develop clear career paths for employees and provide more opportunities for training as well. Effective scheduling is also critical so that the employees feel like they are supported and a part of the organization instead of just punching a time clock, right? Yes. So this feeling of supported by the staff, by the owners, as well as considering them as one of the part of the entire organization, of the entire team, it creates more satisfactory workers working in retail businesses. While having a predictable schedule is better than scheduling on the fly, avoid manual timekeeping records. They can be manipulated by the employees to steal time, and they are also subject to wage theft abuse by the employers. So, thereby, using automated scheduling software is a great way to make it easier, more cost efficient, and less prone to fraud for a manager to handle this process. Again, managers can create and share the work schedules for all employees to see on their phones, as well as send automated reminders for them before each of the shifts. So once a workable shift calendar is established, the employer should see to it that the employees stick to it and give the employees plenty of notice if you plan to change what the average shift looks like. It shouldn't be that the changes in the shift, ones that are planned, they are all of a sudden being imposed on the employees, right? Second best practice is adhere to predictive scheduling laws. So, is your business in a jurisdiction that already has or will have predictive scheduling or fair work week laws? Employee scheduling laws vary by city or by state, but they generally include four common provisions according to the National Retail Federation. They are advanced posting of schedules, employer penalties for unexpected schedule changes, record keeping requirements for the employers, and prohibitions on requiring the employees to find replacement for scheduled shifts if they are not able to work. So predictive scheduling dictates advanced scheduling notices. In general, most require 2 weeks notice, but it can also be more with respect to certain businesses. So violation costs can add up quickly. New York City, for example, it requires retail employers to pay $500 or damages, whichever is greater, for on call shifts or for shift changes with less than 72 hours notice, according to the National Law Review. If you are running a retail outlet in a city that isn't yet affected, don't wait for it to become law. Fair work week laws will continue to spread across to protect the shift workers, So stay ahead of the game by starting to make the changes in your organization right now. Again, yes. So that's about predictive scheduling and fair work week laws. Now let us look into the third best practice, that is allow the employees to swap the shifts. Now most retailers have a large number of part-time staff. So while a part-time workforce is a necessity, it also presents volatility in the retail scheduling. Store managers spend a lot of time sorting and tracking employee time offs or shift cancellation requests. So last minute scheduling changes also means managers spend valuable time off to the floor to find a replacement. So a well-designed shift swapping policy can work for both sides and ensure that both the retailer and the employees eliminate guesswork and get the staff scheduling they need. Now, any employee can request a shift swap in, in the mobile apps nowadays that are being available, that are being downloaded in the respective organizations. Assuming the managers approve the request, the employees available and that are qualified for that shift will get the notifications on their smartphones. And that's where any of them can indicate in the app that they would like to swap. So when a manager approves the swap, the system automatically updates the schedule, which everyone can see on the app that is being downloaded on their cell phones. So that's how nowadays the swap shifts are organized. And then fourth best practice is improve the clarity around the retail employees' schedules. So retail employee schedules have been written out on paper or logged in an Excel spreadsheet for decades. Now, it may be a tried and a true method for some business owners, but the only absolute tradition in that manual scheduling, it leads to confusion. So, with pen and paper employee schedules, employees often are unaware of the last minute changes that are made by those who are requesting the change. Again, there is no visibility since the managers they only post the schedules in a break room or near a time clock. So, as you can imagine, there are unintended time and attendance violations that the managers, HR, and the payroll have to investigate quite often and address too. So, the lack of transparency in scheduling can also lead to disengaged employees who may think that managers have hidden agenda and that favoritism plays into their shift scheduling processes. Again, knowing where you are overstaffed or understaffed and how the resources are being managed is at best the educated guesses, when an educated guess and at worst a crapshoot. So the automated scheduling solution for retailers puts the schedules online and that are visible for all to look into and go through. So that's where again the technology plays a vital role in the scheduling of the employees. So there's no need for the last minute phone calls or text to see who is scheduled for that day shift. Managers can easily see who's coming in, what time they are scheduled to start, and which location they will be at all from their phone, right? So with this, then we look into the last best practice, that is assess the staffing needs to avoid overtime. Now, labor forecasting is a must when the scheduling your retail workforce. Predicting the customer demand peaks and the valleys to plan ideal staffing levels, it shouldn't be left to chance or a manager's gut instinct. You may read the suggestions that you determine the lowest number of staff required to run your store. Then begin with the bare bones number and build from there. So according to Harvard Business Study, practices such as having the bare bones staff in stores, that is the minimum possible staff, and unstable scheduling, that is schedules that vary on day-to-day basis, they have flourished in disguise of enabling greater profits for retailers. Now, study after study for over a decade, operations researchers have found out that retailers understaff during peak hours. Increasing staffing, they found, could increase sales and profits. So, and yet this message on the costs of lean scheduling, it has fell on deaf ears. So overstaffing and understaffing can be dangerous for any retailer, which typically runs on small profit margins and must monitor the company's labor budget. So a staffing decision that smartly cuts the labor cost while maintaining the superior customer service benefits your bottom line. Now, varying the types of employees that you schedule helps to keep your full-time employees from accumulating the overtime hours that can drive labor costs up. And allowing part-time employees to work alongside experienced full-timers provides valuable on-the-job training that they can't get anywhere else. So building retail schedules every week that can change at a moment's notice is a constant challenge. But with retail scheduling best practices and implementing automated retail scheduling software, one can save time, reduce the turnover, build employee morale, and cut the costs. So that's where we are done with the theory. What are the necessary things that we need to look into when we consider the employee scheduling? Now let us look into how the employee scheduling is done. A very interesting video wherein across the entire week, how one has to plan with the given number of employees, given number of work days, okay, where each and every employee is given justice with respect to the weekends that they are supposed to enjoy. Yes, so let us look into this. So now that's where with respect to writing an SOP to whichever group the standard operating procedures is this topic is allotted. First of all, the group should decide that for what is the retail business that they are looking for. Okay, is it a mall or is it a 24/7 open, a bigger chemist shop wherein different types and varieties of medicines are being available, or uh, or is it a mall, and things like that, and then probably accordingly the SOPs could be written. So all the general guidelines with respect to starting the writing of your standard operating procedure are being given to you. By mistake, yes. Again, while writing the SOPs, the coverage, okay, the cost and the satisfaction, these three factors are also consideration. So yes, I hope this should start.
when we are working on a project, we need staffing. We need employees to help us with that. And so as part of project management, we need to schedule our employees. We need to know how many workers we have available working for our company and what the demand is. So that we can figure out who's working and who has a day off. So we're going to look at an employee scheduling heuristic. And a heuristic is just a general rule of thumb or an approach you can take when there's more than one right answer. So let's just look at one method for scheduling employees. So how does it work? Well, we're going to assign the first X number of workers the day off. Then we find this number based on taking the number of workers available minus the demand for workers. So for example, if we have 5 workers and we need 3 workers on staff, then that means 2 workers get the day off. So the first 2 workers in our list will get the day off, the next 3 will work. Then the next day, what we will do is we will assign days off to the next people in the list who didn't have the previous day off. Now you're probably telling me that's a terrible schedule. Why would you give one person Monday off and a different person Tuesday off and a different person Wednesday off? Well, we do this first and we fill up a table. And then what we do is we rearrange the table to create a more desirable schedule. So let's look at how this works. So here we have a project where we have 5 workers that are employed with us. And we're going to need 3 people on Monday, 3 on Tuesday, 4 on Wednesday, 3 on Thursday, 4 on Friday. Saturday is a busy day, so 5 then. And we're going to need 3 on Sunday. My iPad is telling me that my coloring book has new pages. That's what you're seeing at the top there. So if we have 5 workers and we need 3 of them working that day, then that means 2 people get the day off. So we're going to give person A and person B the day off. C, D, and E are working. On Tuesday, again, we need 3 workers. We have 5, so 2 people get the day off. And according to our heuristic, we should make it person C and D. So the next 2 in line, which means E and A and D have to work. All right, on Wednesday, we need 4 people working. We have 5 workers, so that means 1 person gets the day off. And who hasn't got a day off yet? That's person E. Okay, everybody else is working that day. On Thursday, we need 3 workers. We have 5, so 2 people get the day off. So what happens is we give off A and B, they both get the day off, and everyone else works. So see how we continue to go through the list, and whoever hasn't got a day off yet will be the next in line. On Friday, 4 people are needed. We have 5 workers, so 1 person gets the day off, and it's person C. On Saturday, we need all hands on deck. We have 5 workers, we need 5 workers, so no one gets the day off. On Sunday, we need 3 workers, we have 5, so 2 people get the day off, and we give those 2 people the day off, those who haven't had a day off yet in a couple days. So that means that D and E get the day off. Now you're probably looking at that schedule thinking, man, that's terrible. If I was an employee in that company, I would be really unhappy. You're going to give me Monday off and Thursday off? Well, that sucks. So the last step in this process then is to take days like Tuesday and Thursday that have the same demand for workers. And what we can do, because they have the same demand for workers, is we can switch them. So that means that on Tuesday, A will get the day off, and on Thursday they'll work. And B will get the day off, and on Thursday they'll work. So we're switching them across, and you got to do it for everybody. So X, 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 and these become O, O, and this is still X. So notice what this does. It means that worker A now has Monday, Tuesday off. Worker B has Monday, Tuesday off, a much better schedule. Worker C has Thursday and Friday off. Okay, so now we would look at, is there any other switches that can be done that would provide a better schedule for workers D and E? Because they right now have 2 days off that are not consecutive. And there's not always a solution that will give everybody their 2 days off in a row, right? Poor worker E can't have 2 days off in a row because we can't move the Wednesday schedule to Saturday because there's different demand for workers. And we can't switch the Wednesday schedule and Monday schedule because there's different demand for workers. So for E, they're left this week with 2 vacation days that don't match up, which means when we schedule next week, E will be our priority for giving them 2 consecutive days off.
Good grammar and spelling are important, but if you want to write essays that inspire,
Yes. So probably when you are considering writing your standard operating procedures, you can build up a case study for yourself, wherein again you could use the example or from the video, the manner in which you have scheduled the employees for the 7 days of the week. Okay. And then now with the manual scheduling, let us see how the different softwares are being available in the market in order to take care of everything. So that's where you could pick up certain points from this video as well. So let us look into this. Now you can also consider yourself starting a small business with 2 to 3 employees, or probably the part-time employees as we have looked into to take care of the cost, right? And then how these employees could be scheduled so that it's possible for you to work for say 7 hours a day.
The dashboard is the central module of Humanity for both managers and employees, providing insights into all relevant company work information at a glance. Both managers and employees can see all their most vital work data on the dashboard, like when they have upcoming shifts scheduled, which staff members are currently clocked in and working their shifts, who's on vacation, who's late for work, and even which coworkers have upcoming birthdays. The dashboard serves both as a main hub for viewing all work-related notifications and as a gateway for accessing other parts of the platform. One of the dashboard's coolest features is the notification widget. Clicking on any of the notification tiles takes users directly to where they need to be in the platform in order to perform that specific action. The dashboard also makes team communication incredibly easy with its versatile messaging options. Managers and employees can use the message wall to post company-wide communications for everyone to see. Humanity also features an email-like messaging system that can be used to send messages to groups of staff members according to positions and locations, or to individual coworkers. The shift planning module is the central, most powerful and vital part of the Humanity platform. This is where managers create, edit, and view all their company shifts and schedules. The schedule view can be adjusted to show shifts for a single day, week, 2 weeks, or an entire month at a time. There are many options available for customizing the schedule view. Managers can switch to employee or positions view and enable visual or list mode according to their viewing preferences. There are also advanced filtering options available that allow managers to easily see the exact information they need to see in order to quickly create error-free shifts for their staff. Creating employee shifts is incredibly simple in Humanity. Just click on a cell, type the start and end times of the shift, and press Enter. Clicking on any created shift opens up the Shift Edit window, which provides managers with a huge variety of options for customizing and specifying every detail of the shift. Editing and arranging your shifts is fast and intuitive with Humanity. To move a shift to another date or assign it to another employee, just drag and drop it. Need to copy a shift? Simply press and hold C, and then drag the shift to a different day. If a business has regular shifts that tend to repeat week in and week out, there's no need to create them from scratch every time. The Copy Shifts feature allows schedule makers to copy a single shift or an entire day, week, or month directly into another timeline. Humanity's Schedule Wizard lets managers practically schedule on autopilot by autofilling existing empty shifts, creating new schedules based on older templates, and much more. The Schedule Wizard brings smart scheduling to life by assigning only employees who are available to work and helping managers distribute shifts evenly in order to avoid needless overtime. With Humanity, managers can create a perfect weekly schedule for their team in minutes instead of the hours it takes when using spreadsheets or pen and paper. And for companies that were using spreadsheets to schedule their staff before Humanity, there's an option available for importing data from those sheets directly into the platform to get a head start. Thanks to Humanity's advanced smart scheduling features, creating scheduling conflicts is practically impossible. A warning will appear at the top of the schedule screen anytime a shift conflict has been created. Clicking on the conflict warnings shows the exact details of the conflicts and allows managers to quickly resolve them. Humanity literally makes problems such as unfilled shifts and overstaffing worries of the past. Notifying employees of their new shifts is even easier than creating their schedules with Humanity. No more phone calls or endless emails. Once the manager has created a schedule that he or she is happy with, clicking the Publish button confirms the shift and notifies staff members of their newly published schedules automatically. Completely integrated with the rest of the Humanity platform, the Time Clock module allows employees to clock in and out of their shifts, either via web browser or Humanity's mobile application. Once an employee clocks into a shift, they are logged into the system, from where they can take breaks and then clock out of their shifts at the end of the workday. Through Time Clock, managers are able to easily see whether employees are coming into work on time and how long each staff member has been clocked in. Managers also create time clock locations, which gives them the ability to set up static IP address portals as authorized locations from which team members are allowed to clock in and out. Additionally, Humanity's robust reporting options give managers the ability to create detailed reports of employee clock times and analyze the data. All your employee time and attendance data is neatly organized and right at your fingertips, ready to be exported into clean and accurate timesheets that can be sent directly to payroll. Using the Leave module, employees can submit for vacation time, personal days, or other leaves of absence, such as sick days or grievance leave. Managers can create custom leave types as required. Humanity also gives employees the ability to request partial leaves if they only need a few hours off instead of the entire day. Managers can edit, customize, and define their leave policies as needed. Employees can also see an overview of relevant information, like how many vacation days they have available and who else is on leave at the moment. Managers have a full overview at all times of pending time off requests, which employees are currently on leave, how many vacation days each team member has left, which employees have upcoming days off, and other vital staff information. Humanity's innovative training module allows managers to save time and money by providing onboarding, training, and employee education within their scheduling platform. Using the training module, managers can create and assign training topics for their staff to complete and follow each employee's progress in completing these tasks. The module is divided into sections and topics. Sections are the categories in which all of the different types of training topics can be organized. The topics are the actual training assignments that managers create and assign to their employees. Managers can fully customize their training module, adding as many sections and topics as they need. When creating new training content, managers can either edit and build the content from scratch or simply upload files to Humanity if they already have training material that has been prepared beforehand. Once the training topic has been created, managers can easily assign it to their employees by groups. Clicking on any topic will allow managers to track the progress each employee has made in completing the assignments. The Humanity Staff module makes it easy for managers to organize their businesses by customizing company locations, positions, and managing their staff details within the platform. This is where managers can set up and customize their accounts. If you run a franchise or your business simply has more than one location, you can add as many locations as you need to Humanity and manage them all from one account. Humanity makes it easy to schedule staff by allowing managers to create custom positions for all their workers and easily organize them according to job roles or titles. Inviting employees to join the account is quick and easy. All you need is their names and email addresses. Managers can even add staff members in bulk by uploading an already existing CSV file. Once staff members have joined, managers can assign locations and positions to each of them to make scheduling faster and more intuitive. Humanity also enables managers to assign skills to employees so that they always have the right people working the right shifts. Click on the profile of any employee to manage their personal details. Managers can edit staff contact information, locations and positions, skills, availability, notifications, permissions, and much more. Humanity's Reports module gives managers the ability to easily and quickly create and export detailed reports related to all their key staff management actions. Managers can run dynamic reports to keep track of and analyze their scheduling practices, quickly calculate and monitor staff time and attendance, put together timesheets that are immediately ready for payroll, and much more. The most commonly used reports are listed on the main screen of the module. Managers can also browse the entire list of available reports by categories. All reports are dynamic, meaning that they are updated in real time whenever any type of action occurs in Humanity. It's also incredibly easy to filter each report to see the exact data you want to see. Can't find the report type you need? No problem. Humanity gives managers the ability to create fully customized reports manually. Humanity also makes it easier than ever for business owners to create accurate timesheets for payroll processing. They can customize rate cards in order to accurately calculate overtime pay, for example.
Yes, so that's probably where we stop in for today. Okay, now I think we are almost done with 5 or 6 of business systems till now, and wherein they are divided roll number wise as we have discussed. So probably Vaishali ma'am, she will be giving you or mailing you in case you are having a WhatsApp group. She will be sending you the Excel sheet with respect to the evaluations that you are required to submit. So we won't be having a session tomorrow evening, but directly on Saturday. Okay, and that should probably be our last session. Yes.
Okay.
So that's where we stop over your for today, and tomorrow probably Vaishali ma'am will share you the Excel sheet. Fine. Yes.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Yes.